Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay and welcome to another sculpting video. If you're new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. Today we're in the hidden world and you get to meet the next two mutants, the twins. These two came out so cool. They have such a neat backstory too that I'm going to share with you throughout this entire video, so make sure you watch the whole thing so you don't miss any details. And for more hidden world characters, be sure to check out the playlist linked in the description box. And don't forget, my latest plush has arrived. This is Otto the Raccoon Guy. He is a good character from the hidden world and he is available right now at aceofclay.com, so grab him before he's gone. And now without further ado, let's meet the twins. Alright, let's get started. I've got my wooden plaque with the holes drilled for the armature wire, and we're going to start making the first twin's armature. This is Myrtle. She's going to be on the bottom, and then I'm going to make the other twin sitting on her shoulders. So let's bulk out her torso, and then continue bulking her out with some Super Sculpey Ultralight. The other twin's name is Manny, so this is Manny and Myrtle. In a quaint village, nestled on the edge of a dark and foreboding forest, lived a pair of twins, Myrtle and Manny. Born to a struggling family, the twins were often left to their own devices. Myrtle, the larger and stronger of the two, had a kind heart but was slow-witted, often mocked by other children. Manny, on the other hand, was small and frail, but possessed a sharp mind filled with cunning and ambition. He quickly learned to manipulate Myrtle to do his bidding, using her strength to compensate for his own physical weaknesses. Alright, now that I've got Manny's armature figured out, as you can see, he is much smaller than Myrtle, and we're going to start bulking out his torso. Once my armature is looking pretty good, it's time to bake these. Alright, now that they're out of the oven and fully cooled down, we're going to start adding our final layer of clay. Let's start with Myrtle. And once she's completely covered, her torso at least, we're going to start making her pants. I'm just adding this strip of clay here and blending the bottom edge in with the rest of her body. I want these guys to have a comical appearance. I don't want them to be super scary, but I still want them to be scary, but I want them to be funny looking. So we're going to have Myrtle's gut hanging out under her shirt. So let's go ahead and add that there. And we can't forget her belly button. And now for the top of the shirt. One fateful evening, as the twins explored the depths of the forest, they stumbled upon the entity. The entity was a being of pure darkness, feeding on the fears and weaknesses of those it encountered. Drawn by the twins' contrasting traits, the entity saw an opportunity to create a perfect vessel of chaos and destruction. Now that her shape is figured out for the most part, we're going to go in with some snakes of clay and add some folds and wrinkles. When you're adding folds and wrinkles to fabric like this, you want to create the look of tension in the clothing. So you're going to find your points of tension, which will be like around her stomach here, and you want to have the snakes of clay stretch like the fabric would around that. Tension points are frequently at like the knees or the elbows, across the chest, and so on and so forth. The entity offered Manny a deal: unparalleled power and intellect in exchange for his and Myrtle's humanity. Driven by his thirst for power, Manny accepted without hesitation. The entity enveloped them in dark tendrils, mutating their bodies and minds. Myrtle's strength increased exponentially. Her mind further dulled to make her more controllable, while Manny's intelligence was amplified, giving him telepathic control over Myrtle. Alright, now that we have our fertility sculpture, Myrtle's torso done, we're going to go ahead and dab on some Bacon Bond and get her baked. And then, after she's baked, we're going to start working on Manny. And Manny's going to follow, of course, the same process as Myrtle. We're going to cover him with that even sheet of clay and then start adding his clothes. I'm going for a 90s theme, I guess, with them. And he's going to be wearing like basketball shorts and a white t-shirt with a jersey over the white t-shirt. Let's start with his legs, his shorts, his socks, and shoes first. Emerging from the forest, the twins were no longer human. Myrtle had grown even larger and more muscular, her eyes dull, an expression vacant. Manny's body had become even more diminutive, but his mind was a fortress of dark intellect. He rode on Myrtle's shoulders, pulling her braids to direct her actions, his eyes glowing with a sinister light. Using some flattened snakes of clay, we're going to outline his jersey and then blend the inside edges in with the rest of his torso. And for the final step here, I'm just going to add some seams with my Super Poker and then brush him with clay softener and Bacon Bond just like we did with Myrtle. Give him a nice, smooth texture. Alright, now that Manny is baked, we can start working on the heads. Starting with the ball of aluminum foil, we're going to make Myrtle's head first. Want her to look very different. Here you can see I've gotten her nose on, and we're going to start shaping out her mouth. And I'm not going to show you the process of sculpting Manny's head because they're twins. They're going to look pretty much exactly the same, so it's the same process twice. No point in showing both. Once I've pressed in her teeth, we're going to go ahead and add a little bottom lip with a tiny snake of clay. Now for these guys, I love the idea of having a very serious, creepy story to go along with them, but having them look humorous and funny. I just thought that was a nice contrast. After popping in Myrtle's eyes, we're just going to add a little bit of a brow bone. And then, of course, her ears. Adding some pores to the tip of the nose is always a nice touch. And like I mentioned earlier, I sculpted Manny's head off camera. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. I have so many things planned for my business this year, and one could say that I bit off more than I can chew because I've got a lot going on. But while I've got all this stuff to do, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my mental health. Having to deal with all these different things can really take a toll, and that's where BetterHelp can help. BetterHelp makes starting therapy so much easier and less intimidating for a lot of people. BetterHelp lets you have therapy sessions as a phone call, video chat, or even messaging, whatever version of therapy is most comfortable for you. BetterHelp can match you with over 30,000 therapists in their network, based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you a wider range of expertise than may be available in your city. To get started, you just fill out a questionnaire to answer some questions about what you're going through. Then, BetterHelp can match you with a therapist to help you. And you'll get your therapist match in most cases within 48 hours. From there, you can schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If for whatever reason you feel your therapist isn't the perfect fit, you can always switch therapists with the click of a button in your settings for no additional charge. This is a favorite feature for a lot of people because you don't have to break up with your therapist and start the whole process over again. So if you're like me and you want to continue this year taking better care of your mental health, head on over to betterhelp.com/aceofclay, that's better, H-E-L-P, and join over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to start living a happier, healthier life. Just click the link below in the description box, or again, visit betterhelp.com/aceofclay. Doing so helps support this channel and gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the twins. All right, moving our way back to the bodies here, we're going to start by sculpting Myrtle's arms. I love the contrast of the large body with really skinny arms and legs. Adding another flattened snake of clay here to create her sleeve. And let's finish off this arm here with a couple jelly bracelets. Myrtle and Manny began their campaign of terror by attacking isolated villages and settlements. With Manny's strategic mind and Myrtle's brute strength, they were an unstoppable force. Manny would use his telepathic abilities to manipulate and deceive, while Myrtle would execute his plans with devastating force. Now let's get Manny's body finished. One feature that I have planned for these guys that I think is really funny is that he is going to control Myrtle by pulling her braids. So I'm sculpting her braids right now and I'm adding them to Manny's hands and we'll glue them in place later on, but I just thought this was a nice touch. Now back to Myrtle, she needs some hair, so I'm brushing on some Bacon Bond and I'm adding a very thin layer of clay. I want to create the look of very tight pigtail braids. And once my clay is applied, I'm using my super poker to add the hair details, having all the hair come from one point where the braids will be. Now let's make her braids. Manny would identify the strongest and most resilient individuals in a community and target them first, breaking the spirit of the rest. With each village they raised, the entity grew stronger, feeding off the collective fear and hopelessness. Now, because this is going to be a very top-heavy sculpture and I want her to have really skinny legs, I'm making her legs out of some Epoxy Sculpt. I learned my lesson with the paper boy, and I also used this on the zookeeper for the ostrich's legs. So this is a nice little hack. Epoxy Sculpt basically hardens to concrete and she's not going anywhere. I could use flexible clay, and while it would flex and not crack, it would still bend under the weight of everything. So Epoxy Sculpt is my go-to for this. One thing I love about Epoxy Sculpt is that it can be smoothed with water, and it works so well. I'm just rubbing my fingers on the surface and everything's blending together and it's looking real good. Now let's give her some fun little boots. And now that everything is baked, the last step was adding the Epoxy Sculpt legs. We're going to let that cure for 24 hours and then we can start painting. The true danger of Myrtle and Manny lies not just in their physical abilities, but in the psychological torment they inflict. Manny's telepathic control over Myrtle makes them a perfect blend of brute force and tactical precision. He uses her as a living weapon, her strength capable of tearing through any defense, while his cunning and intellect ensure that no one can predict their next move. Here I'm just going in with a fine paintbrush and darkening all the details on Myrtle's face. And let's do the same thing on Manny. Now I'm going to go in with a very pale, light grayish color to add highlights to all of their features. Now let's get those teeth painted. Manny's manipulation extends beyond just controlling Myrtle. He can implant fears and doubts into the minds of others, making them easy prey. Myrtle's physical presence is enough to instill terror. Her vacant eyes a reminder of the loss of humanity and the raw, unchecked power she wields. And let's do some red hair and freckles. Why not? To add some highlight to the hair, I'm just doing a quick dry brushing. And we're going to start painting Myrtle's shirt this nice mint green, seafoam green color, and it's going to have a rainbow. I want her to look like she's wearing children's clothes, but she's a grown adult. Kind of adds to her character, right? Now I'm just going in and carefully adding some shadows and highlights. Now for that rainbow. Their goal is to create a world where fear reigns supreme, where the entity's power is absolute. they seek to dismantle any semblance of order and hope, ensuring that no one feels safe or secure. This relentless pursuit of chaos makes them a threat unlike any other. And let's paint her pants this nice denim blue color. Now for some contrasting yellow boots. And let's dirty those up with a little bit of brown. Now let's start with Manny's t-shirt. Just want to paint the sleeves and the collar area white. I believe this color is called skeleton bone, so it's not pure white, it's kind of a dull dead white. And after asking my mom her opinion of what color I should make his jersey, she said yellow, so I made it yellow. And I'm just going in and adding some highlights and shadows. And then we're going to write the number 26 on his jersey because he is the 26th mutant. I honestly can't believe I've only made 26 of these guys because it feels like 260. In the hidden world, the tale of Myrtle and Manny serves as a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows. They are a testament to the corrupting power of ambition and the terrifying potential of unchecked strength and intellect. As long as the entity's influence persists, the twin terrors will continue their reign, a living nightmare from which there is no escape. And that's the story of the twins. Now I'm just stuffing some epoxy sculpt in that hole in her head so that when I attach it to her body, it's not going anywhere. I'm also going to attach Manny with some epoxy sculpt. Now I'm just going to super glue her braids on, and off camera I make little skulls to put at the base of each braid. One skull for each of them. Every mutant's got one. All right, now say it with me. And they're done! The twins are complete. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. I love the arrangement of these guys. I've been toying with the idea of doing twins for a pretty long time, and I originally thought I just wanted to make two basically like copy and paste characters that look exactly the same, but that was just, I don't know, it needed something more, and I thought the idea of a smaller twin sort of sitting on the shoulders of a bigger twin would be way more interesting and weird, and I just think these two came out so cool. I love them. I feel like the mutants this year are hitting different. As always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. Join my Facebook group, Snakes of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.